Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wholehearted Healing with Jo. I am your host, Johanna, and today we're going to be talking about living a balanced life and letting go of the fear of being perfect about, all the little health things that tips, tools, tricks, right? The things that people, say we should do. And I actually did a Instagram post on this a couple days ago, and I just feel like it's something I want to kind of elaborate on. The post that I did was basically saying living a life that you love and that you enjoy will always outbeat just trying to avoid all the toxins and trying to be perfect when it comes to our health. And so I wanted to kind of elaborate on that. I have a very balanced approach to how I feel health should be. And that doesn't mean that I feel like my approach is perfect, obviously, but it just means that I feel like there should be some give and some take in life. And I think whether you're all in or all out, those are both extremes. And everyone has their own levels for what they feel is all in or all out, or what is balance, right? And so it's very individual. I think where I see it being a negative thing with trying to avoid everything is that people get kind of obsessed with it, and that can be negative in itself, depending on the context. And as well, I feel like people, on the flip side of it, it almost makes it seem like unattainable, right? And so that's where we kind of see ourselves like yo-yo dieting, or starting something like a workout routine and then not sticking to it, and all these things because we feel like we have to be perfect, or we feel like we have to, it's like an all or nothing, right? So I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is an important topic, especially with a lot of the information now that everything gets so circulated so fast on the internet, right? With our apps and our social media and that sort of thing. And so I feel like this is important because we can't be perfect. We're human, right? Nobody's perfect. And a lot of this too is also around what you're prioritizing in your life, right? And what might be in the forefront of your life right now versus maybe not. And those things might switch and change over time. So this is something that I encourage people to look at in my clinical practice, as well as the Mindful Woman program that I have. And that program is a 3-month program, and it's pretty much one-on-one virtually, but there is some aspect of group component. But the message that I try to drive home to people is we don't have to be perfect. And if we fall off the wagon, we can get back on. And sometimes it's not about doing all the things. Sometimes we just have to pick one or two, and we just have to be happy with that, right? And just applaud ourselves for even just doing that much, right? So the big thing is that in order to live this balanced life, we have to be making decisions for ourselves and for our health in a way that isn't, fear or anxiety ridden. And I think it's important to remember that just because you're choosing these things for yourself, or someone else is choosing these things for them, doesn't mean that we have to force people to see things our way, or force people to do things, their way kind of thing, or our way. For me, I really believe in holistic health and healing, and there are definitely some things that I will not do for myself because it's just the standard that I hold there. But on the flip side of it, I'm going to have a piece of cake and enjoy a family event. I'm going to get my nails done. I get my nails done all the time. And I'm going to, every once in a while I might have an alcoholic drink. Now, do I have it all the time? Absolutely not. And honestly, I don't really like the way alcohol feels. I've been eliminating that a lot from my diet. For me, a lot of things that I eliminate and that I say no to are because it's there's a feeling inside of me that says this isn't what I should be doing anymore, or this isn't appropriate, or this is not, I don't value this, right? And that's how I make my choices. I make my choices based on what I believe to be the right decision for myself. And a lot of times that for me is a feeling in me, where I just feel like I can't do it. Like it's just not something I'm supposed to be doing anymore or at all, right? And so it's making sure that we're making these decisions for ourselves, and ideally without the, feeling imposed or feeling pressured by other people. And so I'll never judge people. Like I have clients who come in and they're like, I'm never going to give up alcohol. And I'm like, that's fine. But you also have to understand that if you don't, right, these are the repercussions and that's what you're choosing, right? And if they're okay with that, then they're okay with that, and, realizing that sometimes things, if you're not willing to give those things up, you have to just be okay with the fact that maybe your situation's not going to change, right? And the other aspect of that I try to help people with is, okay, if you're not, willing to give up whatever the thing is, like how can we maybe change what you're doing or how you're doing it to just kind of like support you a bit better, right? So, basically just like making sure that you are making informed decisions for yourself, right? That aren't riddled with fear and anxiety. And I think things too we have to remember is that like change happens over time. And again, trying to do all the changes at once and trying to be perfect is kind of unrealistic, right? It's kind of like when you're starting to like, change your morning routine. Add one thing at a time, right? Like just try one thing. Sometimes just getting out of bed is the hardest part, right? So it's like, just work on that. And then you can add more things on once that's become kind of regular for you. Now, the other part of this message was like enjoying and loving your life. And I think people underestimate like how much this really impacts our health. A lot of us are doing things that we don't want to do. We're doing things because people told us we had to, or we're doing things because we feel like it's an expectation or that we have to, and if we don't, like our whole life is going to fall apart, right? Like there's this pressure to live a certain way or be a certain way or do things, take actions, and all these expectations, whether it's from our parents or our society or our jobs or kids, even like all those types of things. If we're constantly living for everybody else, we lose this sense of joy. We lose this sense of love for our life. And love is so powerful. And it's the opposite of fear. So if you're loving what you do and you are just grateful, and have love for all the things and the people that are in your life, obviously we're going to have moments where we don't feel good about things, right? That's normal. But if we can start to see the small little pleasures in life, then we are that much more better off. And our state of our being is so much better. You can avoid all the toxins and the, things we're not supposed to consume all you want. But at the end of the day, if you're a miserable person, it doesn't fucking matter. Like if you're a miserable person, your energy and your vibration is low. And your life force, your vitality is not good. People aren't going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it. And that really creates a negative environment for our health and for our wellness and being able to heal and being able to change things in our life. And so we have to shift our perspective, but also just find ways to bring more joy and more love into our life. This could be through, hobbies or spending time with certain people that you really enjoy, or putting in boundaries with people that you don't enjoy being around, right? How can you incorporate more things that you love into your daily or your weekly routine without compromising your health or your goals or the things that you want to do? Even when it comes to like food, if there's certain foods that you love, like, can you be mindful about how much of it you're just consuming, right? And at the same time, when you consume it, can you not feel guilty about consuming it, right? I went through this with like rest a lot. where I felt guilty for resting, but it also at the same time made me feel so good. And it was definitely this pressure, this societal pressure that I felt like I couldn't rest or I couldn't relax. There was always things to do. And, and I eventually got to this place where I realized like those things aren't going away. They're not changing. And my life isn't falling apart if I don't do them right now. Right? So enjoy the day, enjoy the evening. And when I took that pressure and that guilt off of myself, I felt so good, and I was able to actually enjoy my rest, and I actually felt rested afterwards, right? So being mindful of like how we're consuming things, right? And maybe being in more moderation with it rather than going to like, again, that extreme of just like overconsumption of whatever it is. And that's how you kind of create that balance, right? Let's say, again, if it's like food related or alcohol, it's like consuming those things like in very small amounts here and there versus like totally strict, you can't have any of it, don't even try to like enjoy your life or enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, right? I think those things are sometimes unrealistic, and unfortunately then that makes people be like, oh, well, I've got a birthday this week, so I'm gonna have some cake, so I guess I'm just like not doing my diet anymore, right? And the truth of the matter is like you can have the cake and you can just get back to like eating your vegetables, eating your proteins, drinking your water, whatever, right? So it's just being mindful about how we're consuming things and having that balanced approach to our goals and just our life. Because I think, again, the big piece is, are you enjoying how you're living your life? And sometimes, yeah, we have to make sacrifices, but also sometimes there's points in our life we're not willing to make the sacrifice, right? Like sometimes the sacrifice in that moment like isn't worth it. Like I know going to the nail salon is not, necessarily healthy for my nails and my body, with just the chemicals and the lights and the whatever. But at the same time, like what I gain from it is like, I love having my nails done. It makes me feel good. It's an hour where I give to myself because I go out and I get this done. I get to have good conversations with the girl who does my nails, and there's like a social component, and it just feels like fresh. I feel like I've been like renewed. It's like getting your hair cut again, So to me, the benefits of that outweigh maybe the more negative concept of it. So I think a lot of that is, again, just like shifting your mindset, right? And if you can start to view things in a different approach or in a more balanced approach, or how can I have a little bit of this but not go overboard, that's where you really start to find the joy and find the love in your life again. And sometimes, again, it's not about cutting out the toxins. It's like, just like, how can you go live your life and love your life, right? And I think, what is cutting out the toxins when you're the toxic person, And I think we need to take an honest reflection of like whether we're happy in our life or not. And what's making us not happy? Like, what is that thing? And maybe diving a little deeper into that rather than being so overconsumed with, doing all these protocols a certain way, right? I mean, there's people who, you see people all the time, they literally are like 100 and they're like, they've been chain smokers and they've been through the war and they've been through all these things. And it's just like, that person survived, right? They've been through a lot of shit. And so they're happy, but they have this appreciation for life and they enjoy their lives. And I think that is a big thing that we stop doing for some reason as we get older. So again, I think a big thing with like, wanting to reduce your exposure to, toxins and negative things that aren't supporting maybe your health is really just like letting them be there if that's what you want to do in that moment, but not letting them run the show. So again, just that moderation, and making sure that you're also sprinkling in good things. So again, that's that balance and that moderation. So like if you're going to have the cake, make sure you're eating the vegetables or the protein or the whatever, right? So the making sure that you're kind of getting both ends of it in that sense. So yeah, consider where you're putting limits on yourself and maybe actually doing more harm than good. And like, is your routine and the protocol you're trying to stick to, is it sustainable? And if you fall off course, are you like just basically saying, well, guess I'm done. Like I can't go back, right? Like just get back on the horse when it comes to whatever your goals are, right? We don't have to just give up because we did one thing, or we don't just have to, live in fear, because truthfully, there's toxins and chemicals everywhere, and it's really hard to avoid them with the way our world is now. And I think that we need to more so pay attention to how our body actually feels versus the thing that we're consuming. I think we need to look at the thing that we're consuming when we don't feel good, right? Rather than trying to be perfect and then wonder why we still feel like shit. So be kind to yourself, and you can have this balance in this duality of good and bad things in your life, if you want to put those in air quotes. And don't be afraid of the things that maybe you're doing that aren't good for yourself right now. Like, just let them be. If you're not in that space of ready to change, just let them be. And I say this to clients all the time, is you have to be willing to change, because otherwise you're just not going to stick to it anyway, right? And I think it's more important that we go out and live these fulfilling lives, because a lot of people aren't fulfilled, right? They're not happy, they're not enjoying life. And if you can start to just enjoy your life a little bit, that's going to make you 10 times healthier and happier than, you trying to avoid the nail salon or the alcohol or the cake or the whatever, right? So just be mindful of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And yeah, just everything in moderation and just one thing at a time. I think we're really hard on ourselves, and we don't give ourselves enough grace and compassion. And no one's really telling us it's okay. You don't have to do it all right now. Where you are right now is okay. And, go out and explore and go to that event and have fun, and don't put all these expectations on yourself, right? Just let yourself be who you are. So, that was kind of the message I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully that resonated with you. Hopefully you found some value in it. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, you should. And the link for that is down below. And I do also have a broadcast channel. So I've been kind of trying to figure out, I just started it. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to utilize it and what works for me, my schedule, but as well for everyone else. So I'll kind of give some little tips and tricks and little insights as they come up that I feel like I want to share them, and as well any events and updates and that sort of thing on offers that I have. I also just posted in there topics for podcast episodes and that sort of thing, because I do want to get more consistent with this. And yeah, so if you want to be a part of that, that is also on my channel. You can find that in my YouTube channel. Otherwise, again, the Mindful Woman, I do have spots open actually for this month. I have about 3 spots open that I'm looking to fill right now. And as well, if you're in the area, we do have another Body Breath and Balance event that's happening on July 16th. It's a Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And it's a breathwork event that I'm hosting with Natalie again. And it's just a great evening for women to kind of relax, feel refreshed, release some energy and some tension and some emotions. We do some gentle movement. We're doing breath work, and then we have a share circle where everyone can kind of open up and talk about how, things were affected, or how they were affected if they feel called to. And just kind of, a nice evening to kind of connect. So if you're interested in that, the link for that I'll also put down below in the show notes as well. Obviously, if you're on my Instagram, you can sign up through there. And osteopathic appointments are also available. So if you're in the area and you want to see me in person for treatment, you can also do that as well. So all that information again is on my Instagram, but I will put it in the show notes here. And otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. And remember to live your life in balance. This weekend, just let yourself enjoy your life. Don't get so caught up on being perfect with everything and I think too, if you're someone who believes in health and wellness and the holistic aspect, it's really hard because people get this really like all or nothing mentality, and it's challenging a little bit. And I know I've faced that for sure. So anyways, I'm rambling now, so I will let you guys go, and I will see you in the next podcast episode. Thank you so much again for being here and listening and supporting me. It means so much to me. And again, if you have any ideas of further topics that you want me to talk about or that you want to learn about, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram, and I will be sure to put that in the lineup. So have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.